who has the toughest schedule in college football this season, and all that's coming up after the bumper. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I was taking a poke around now that we have the AP preseason poll rankings out. See who has the toughest schedule in all of college football. And there were really three that I came down to looking at based on rankings, based on where the game is being played, and based on the conference that they play in. And you'd be shocked to know that the SEC and the Big Ten really are at the top of this list because, I mean, talk about this in the upcoming number one ranked show, but like Ohio State leads the Big Ten, but it's not just that. It's that the Big Ten has 5 teams that are ranked, and the joke that I tell is, 1 to make the playoff and 4 to build Ohio State's resume, but that's a joke as much as anything else because Ohio State has won like the last 4 straight Big Ten championships, no matter what anybody thinks about it. And then there's Texas, who I thought was in a very sneaky position, right? Because they play a really good top 25 Louisiana team right out the box, and then they get an Arkansas team that's unranked. And then I was looking at Arkansas schedule, right? And I was like, man, Arkansas get the shaft again? But before that, I looked at Nebraska's schedule, and I was shocked. Shocked to tell you. I looked up at what I thought was going to be the magic year for Nebraska and Scott Frost and said, yo, that's a gauntlet. Like, it's a cakewalk, except the cakes are hand grenades. Nebraska has a game on the road at number 2 Oklahoma. And then it finishes the season with these 3 in a row. Number 4 Ohio State, number 12 Wisconsin, and number 18 Iowa. That's tough, man. I mean, Penn State's got to play Wisconsin out the box. Iowa's got to play Indiana out the box, but you get where I'm going with this, right? And then also on their schedule, a sneaky good Minnesota, a Michigan team that's plucky enough to beat them, and the defending Big Ten champ in Northwestern, who's going to start a 5-star quarterback in Hunter Johnson, who transferred, of course, from Clemson last year and missed significant time last year, 2 years ago, and then missed significant time last year as he was, quite honestly, mourning his mother who had breast cancer, and it sucks for him. I really want that dude to have a great season. But they also lost Cam Porter for the season in preseason camp. And then, of course, as I said, there's Arkansas, who has games against number 21 Texas, and 8-5 Georgia Southern, last year at least, number 6 Texas A&M, number 5 Georgia, an Ole Miss team that put up 647 yards on Alabama, a top 25 LSU, and of course number 1 Alabama. Playing the SEC West is not a joke for anybody ever. But for Sam Pittman, I think people are going to continue to roll with this. For Arkansas fans, hey, at least you get to see some outstanding football played. At least you get to see some of the best teams in college football, and perhaps a team that could play in not just the SEC championship, but the Big 12 championship, and even the Sun Belt championship, depending on how good you think Georgia Southern is going to be compared to Coastal Carolina, South Alabama, and of course Louisiana. I just look at the way they close out the season, and I'm going, goodness, man. I mean, they also got a Missouri in there that ain't no easy win, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't really think they have that much in the way of an easy win. I think there are 3 teams over on Arkansas' schedule that you could expect them to beat. But I don't know that anybody who's going to be looking at those games. So, like, Rice is a beatable team for an Arkansas, right? And then you go straight to Texas, Georgia Southern, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Auburn, and then APB, Arkansas Pine Bluff, Mississippi State, LSU, Alabama, Missouri. Like, it's rough, man. And then again, Nebraska just can't seem to get themselves a win here because I'm looking at their schedule and I don't feel great about it. And then Iowa State has a pretty doggone tough schedule as well. They not only have the Cyhawk game, but a Northern Iowa team that ain't no easy win, baby. Like, there's some doozies on here, but there are also, like, apart from that, how much weight are you going to put into Oregon, Ohio State is interesting for me because, like, if Oregon goes and beats Ohio State in that game, do we look at Oregon with a totally new energy and we have to think about them as perhaps the presumptive favorite to defend their Pac-12 championship game? If UCLA can somehow pull off an upset against LSU in Pasadena, how do we view LSU going forward? Of course, A&M is going to take on a Colorado team that showed signs last year of being pretty good. I don't know if they're talented enough to go get a W over Jimbo Fisher, but Karl Dorrell seems to feel good about his squad, and I think his squad feels good about itself. Like, there's a number of really, like, also in there, Oklahoma State sneakily has this tough schedule. Like, they have their beat-em-up game against Missouri State, but they also got Boise State on the road, and a Tulsa team that feels like he's got something to prove after last year. Like, they not only hung with, they knocked Spencer Sanders out of the game, and then Shane Illingworth showed up to be like, nah, I'm going to show you what's really good. I'm from Cali. But they were in that game, and they also had a Zaven Collins who was, destroyer of worlds last year, the Nagurski Award winner for the best defensive player in the country. First time that's ever happened in my alma mater. So there's a lot of teams that have some really interesting runs on their schedule. But when I looked at Nebraska and Arkansas, it's like, what do you do with this? Like, if you're Alabama and you have that kind of schedule that Arkansas has, you're going to be looking up going, now, wait a cotton picking. Let's wait a minute here. Because I don't think that Nick Saban would stand for a schedule that features, well, he might not have a choice in a couple of years, right? Because Texas just going to be part of the SEC, and you might actually add Oklahoma to that mix. Can you imagine if Arkansas had to play Oklahoma in addition to Texas, Texas A&M, Georgia, LSU, and Alabama? Their fans would riot, and I'd be like, isn't that what all of us want? We want really good games, but that's kind of my point here is, like, the toughest schedule this year is going to feel like a cakewalk in 2-3 years from now because somebody, maybe Arkansas, is going to have that schedule that features Oklahoma, Texas, A&M, Georgia, LSU, and Alabama because all you're really doing is adding Oklahoma to that mix. It's going to be fun. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.